أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we're going to learn about, as we have learned in the past, about different kinds of kalima, different kinds of words that are divided into different segments. In the last lesson, the two lessons, we have learned about kalima sahih, mu'tal, mahmuz, ghair mahmuz, muza'af.
कान को लगाने वाला आवाज बहुत कम है तो कान वाला लगाता हूँ शायद उससे बेटर हो जाए.
Sorry. Yeah. Kalima sahih, mu'tal, mahmuz, ghair mahmuz, muza'af, ghair muza'af. These are the different divisions of kalima. Now, as you remember, that kalima, the difference between kalima sahih and mu'tal is that mu'tal is a word that consists of huruf illa, which are waw, alif, and ya, and the letters that consist of, these letters, if they are the root letters or huruf asli, then that word is called kalima mu'tal. And if it doesn't consist of these three letters, or if these three letters are not one of the huruf asli, then it is called kalima sahih. And the word that contains or consists one letter, a root letter, one or two, one or more letters, which are hamza, then that word is called mahmuz. And if it doesn't, then it's called ghair mahmuz. Likewise, if the two root letters are of the same kind, then that word is called muda'af. If it doesn't contain two letters of the same kind, the two root letters, then it is called ghair muda'af. Now, all of these different kinds of words that we have discussed about, kalima sahih, mu'tal, mahmuz, ghair mahmuz, muza'af, ghair muza'af, all of these words are always thulathi mujarrad, right? They're always thulathi mujarrad. And as you remember, thulathi mujarrad means a three-letter word, or a word, the better explanation is a word that consists of three letters, three root letters, and even if it has one harf zaid, even then that is a thulathi mujarrad. A word that consists of three root letters, and that is thulathi mujarrad. If you could share, Jafri Saab, the pages that I've shared with you, the page number 1.
Sure.
And you can divide these words. As I said, that like all of these words are thulathi mujarrad. There you go. Yeah. Now, if you see a word, dada, yeah, over here, there's a point that I want to make, and if you can note down on a piece of paper or your notebook, wherever you are writing, you see, what is that word? This is also thalathi mujarrad. Why? For a simple reason. There is a rule in Arabic that if you find two letters side by side, like in dada or qirdad, sorry, then one of them is asli and the other is zaid. Therefore, in this word over here, you find that the two of the letters of the same kind, see them next to each other. It is always thulathi mujarrad. Right? Always thulathi mujarrad. That means one is asli and the other is Zaid. Now, but there is a slight exception for Rubai Mujarrad. What is that? Only the words that we had discussed earlier, in the previous lessons. Sahih, Mu'attal, Mahmuz, Ghair Mahmuz, Mudaf, Ghair Mudaf. In Muza'af, there is an exception. I had said earlier that all of these words are from Salati Mujarrad. Now, B, there's a point there. There is an exception in Salati Mujarrad if it is Muda'af. Yeah? Muda'af. Rubai Mujarrad, for example, I had said earlier, if you can remember, that in Muda'af, two of the letters of the same kind are next to each other, like in the word Madda, which is actually Madada, which turned into the two dals had merged into each other to become one letter dal, and that was Madda. Now, over here, you find a Rubai Mujarrad, like the word Zalzala. Like when you read the surah إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زَلْزَالَهَا in Qur'an, the word Zalzala. Now this word, if you can scroll up, please, the number B, if people will be able to see it, inshallah. Zalzala, that is a 4-letter word. And the two of the zal, you can see in the word Zalzala, are not next to each other. There, Zalzala. Yeah? Even though that there is a lam in between, like in Salati Mujarrad, in the word Madda, there were two letters of the same kind that were together. The two root letters of the same kind were next to each other. But over here in Zalzala, as you can see on your screen, the two of the zals have been divided with lam. There's a lam in between. But even then, if you find a word like this, which is Salati Mujarrad, 4 of the letters are the root letters, which makes it Rubai Mujarrad. And then in those 4 letters, there are 2 of the same kind that are divided, that have a distance between each other. Not unlike Madda, Madada, unlike that. Then, even then, this is called Muza'af. This word is Muza'af. This is an exception. Or in Kabkaba, right? In Kabkaba, you see that the 2 kafs or the 2 bas are divided and not next to each other. There is a distance between them, and in between there's a letter. In between the 2 bas, you can see a kaf. And in between the 2 kafs, you can see a ba. So even though you see that there is a distance amongst the letters of the same kind, this is still a muza'af. But this is an exception in Rubai Mujarrad. Now, so you can say that you can find a Rubai Mujarrad to be muza'af, which is very rare. But you cannot find a Rubai Mujarrad, which is Sahih, Mu'attal, Mahmuz, or Ghair Mahmuz. I'm sorry, yeah, or Mahmuz or Ghair Mahmuz. That's not possible. Now, but the rules of Muzaf, like Idgham, are not applicable in the same 2 words that you see. What is Idgham? Like in the word Madda, there were 2 dals who had merged into each other, which were called, as you have learned, that Idgham can only take place in huruf shaddad, right? Huruf mushaddad. If you find the 2 letters are huruf mushaddad, only then Idgham or a merger can be applied. Therefore, but the rules of muzaf like idgham are not applicable over here in this example that I've given you of rubai mujarrad. Why? Because of the simple reason that the two letters of the same kind are not next to each other. Because of the two letters are not next to each other, therefore you cannot do an idgham, because it's very easy, very simple to understand and apprehend. And before you had learned that the letters who are of the same kind have to be next to each other to create a merger, which is called idgham, right? The first letter is mudgham, the second letter is mudgham fi. You have learned that before. I don't need to repeat that again. So therefore, if there is a distance between the two letters, like zalzala or kabkaba, even though it is a mudha'af, because there is a distance between the two letters, and idgham cannot happen, a merger cannot be possible, right? Now, like for example, now the point C. The point C, I like to repeat. If you see a word like firar, yeah, or midad, now these two words are thulathi mujarrad and mudaf. Why? Why are they mudaf? Because, and why are they thulathi mujarrad? Very easy. You have learned in so many lessons that alif here is harf zaid. The real word is farara, right? And farara consists of three root letters. Alif is harf zaid, and because harf zaid is alif, if you remove that alif, you have a root word which consists of three root letters, fa, ra, and ra. And in the root word, you see that the two letters are of the same kind in the root word, right? Because you always have to refer to the root word. We find the root letters. Why? We are always after root letters, because we need to refer to the root letter, to the root word, sorry. Once we go back and we find out what the root word is, then you have the capability to have the understanding of that word. Firar comes from the word farara. Midad comes from madada, right? So alif is zaid. Therefore, once you find that the three root letters, madada, the two of the dals, are next to each other because alif is zaid in the root word, the two dals are together. There's no alif in the root word. So therefore, it is basically a thulathi mujarrad and also a mudha'af. Alhamdulillah, it's very easy to understand, inshallah. Now, in number 3, page number 3, there's another point that I'd like to clarify before moving on to the other subject. There's a word called salim. So page number 3, please. Yeah, I'd like to clarify that point, please, first. Salim is always, yeah, Salim is always sahih, غير mahmuz, and غير mudha'af. That is Salim, right? Earlier we had learned that what is sahih? Sahih is the word that does not consist of huruf illa. If it is not mu'attal, if the word is not mu'attal, mu'attal means the word that consists of alif, waw, and ya. So if that does not exist in a word, then it is sahih, right? But a word can be sahih and be salim also. Salim means a word that is sahih which means that there are no haruf illa in it. It's not mu'tal, but it can be, a word that is also غير mahmuz and also غير mudha'af, right? So salim is the word that is not mu'tal, does not consist of alif, waw, and ya. Salim is the word that does not consist of hamza. Salim is the word that is not the word that is mudha'af. That means the two letters of the same kind are not there in the root word. The root letters are never, you will never find two letters of the same kind which are root letters in a word if it is salim. That's the word salim. Now, if you can please go back to page number 2. Now, there are the different possibilities that we're discussing about words. Yeah? There are words like sahih, and it can be mahmuz, it can be muza'af, or it can be mu'tal, mahmuz, and muza'af all together. You can find a word, for example, mu'tal, alif, waw, and ya are there. One of the letters, root letters, is masalan, for example, alif or waw or ya. And if you find that, then it will become mu'tal. Then the next letter could be hamza. Yeah. So, and also the next letter again can be hamza again. Now, if you find that type of a word, it can be mu'tal and mahmuz and muzaf. And you can have a word that is sahih and mahmuz and muzaf. Sahih means that there are no root letters which are of waw, alif, or ya. So it is sahih. And then you have one hamza in it and two letters that are of the same kind, which makes it mudha'af. So that's a possibility in a word, right? Now, for example, in the word, you see nasara. Nasara, you find this word nasara is sahih. Why is it sahih? Because noon is not waw, any of those huruf illa, alif, waw, and ya. You do not find any of those three letters over here. So it's not kalama mu'attal. You put that aside and then you make it sahih. This word is sahih because it's not mu'attal. Then you move on. There are no two letters of the same kind in it. Therefore, it is غير مضاف. And then you find no hamza in it. Therefore, it is غير mahmuz. Now the word that you see over there, abba. There are two bars that have been put together. Abba. You find the alif is hamza. Now ba and ba makes it mudaf. But now, if you can see before scrolling down, please, you find a hamza there. So what does that make this word? This word is mahmuz, right? So you write the word mahmuz. Do you find any of those letters, alif, waw, or ya in it? This is, by the way, hamza, not alif, yeah? Therefore, this word is sahih also. Hamza is there, it makes it mahmuz. And ba, if you open the word abba, it is actually ababa. Yeah? So there, you know that there has been a process, it has gone through a process which is called idgham. The two of the root letters are ba and ba. Therefore, it is mudha'af. So now, this, by looking at this word, you will say that this word, scroll up please. You will say that this word is sahih. This word abba is sahih. It is mahmuz because of the hamza. Sahih, why? Because there's no alif, waw, and ya. Mahmuz, why? Because there is a hamza. And muzaf, why? Because of the two bars. Right? That's mashallah. Right. Now, if we move on to the point number E, kalama salim that we had discussed before. If in a word you find that the word is not mu'tal, not mahmuz, and not muza'af, which means that none of, if you find in a word, as we have discussed before, that none of the letters are alif, waw, and ya. None of the letters are hamza. None of the letters of the two same kind are huruf asli. And that word is called kalama salim. Very easy, mashallah. Right? So huruf illa are not there, hamza is not there, and huruf mushaddad are not there, then it becomes kalama salim. For example, kataba, khalaqa, daraba. Yeah. Over here you find there are no huruf illa, no huruf mushaddad. Huruf mushaddad, if you've learned before, two of the letters of the same kind, in which are the root letters. Yeah. They're not there in khalaqa, likewise in daraba. Yeah. Now, in another example, if you find a word amara, now this word amara is sahih, but not salim. Why have I written there that it is sahih and but not salim? Because once we make a mistake, I've seen by my experience that once you're learning the different kinds of words, you find that there's a word called mu'tal, and the word that is not mu'tal, it's called sahih. So you always tend to mix sahih with salim. Never make that mistake. Therefore, I've put the word over there, amara. Yeah. This amara, you find that this word, none of the letters in this word are huruf illa. It makes it sahih, but it is not salim. Yeah. Now, you need to understand the difference between sahih and salim. Now, if we can move on to page 3, please. You see, this is, up till now, what we have learned is a continuation of our previous lesson. Huruf illa, as you already know, are the three letters, waw, alif, and ya. Waw, ya, and alif, yeah? These three letters are huruf illa. Now, if in a word, if you find that the three letters, waw, ya, and alif, if one of them is huruf illa in a letter, one of the letters is huruf illa, and it is silent, it's called sakin. If waw does not carry the fath sign or the dam sign or the kasara, there's no dhamma or kasara or any of those signs, vowel signs that you see, like ya or ab or e or u. If you find that none of these vowel signs are there and it is sakin, then that word is called, that letter, is called harfilin. You understand? Like in the word qawl. In the word qawl, you see that this is kalma mu'attal, right? Now this makes it kalma mu'attal. Why? Because there is a waw there. But this waw is silent. Like in Urdu, you have zair, zabar, pesh. Yeah? So there's no fath, there's no kasara, there's no dhamma. Because there are no vowel signs, and it is huruf illa, so that makes it harfe leen. Then there is the other kind, number 2. The letter before harfe leen, if it is in relation to the harf illa. For example, what do I mean by in relation? You see, some of the signs are, you can call it friendly to these letters, waw, alif, and ya. As you know, let me explain a little bit. As you know, in alif, the sound is ah, and the fath sign is ah, right? And in waw, it's oo. So the pesh or dam, oo, that is friendly. In ya, it is e. So the kasra or the zair that you say in Urdu, yeah, that is friendly. We call it a friendly letter, a friendly sign to one of the huruf illa. So we can say that it is related to the huruf illa. The three signs that are related to the huruf illa, how do they get related to each other? Ya is related to kasra, or kasra is related to ya. Fath is related to alif. And waw, what is related to waw? Dam. It's very easy. Like for example, in Ali, the word Ali, you find that before ya is silent. If you find in a letter that the one of the harf illa is silent, and the previous letter is friendly or in relation to the huruf illa, then it is called harf mad. Very simple. Ali. Over here you find ya is silent. If one of the letters are silent and they're huruf illa, and the previous letter carries the friendly sign, or that sign is in relation to the harf illa, then that word becomes harf mad. Yeah, like in the word Ali, you find ya is silent, and the previous letter lam is carried with the sign kasra. Now kasra is friendly with ya, therefore it makes it harf mad. Yeah, Ali. Or the word yaqum. And you see in the word yaqum, waw is silent, and the previous sign is in relation to waw. Both of them carry the sound ooh, ooh. Yeah. You see the dam over there? Ooh. You see the waw over there? Ooh. Both of the same have the same sounds. So they are in relation to each other, like yaqum. But that harf illa, even if it is, for example, friendly, that harf illa must be silent also. So there are two qualities that must exist. Harf illa has to be silent, and the previous letter has to be related to that harf illa. If you find these two conditions in a word, then it is harf mad, like yaqumu or qama, for example. In qama, you see that alif is silent and half carries the sign fath. So it is the word qama. Qama. Yeah. Now there's very important note that you must take, and that is that the letter alif is always harf mad. Letter alif is always harf mad. What does that mean? That means that every single time that you find alif in a word, it is always silent, and the previous letter, whatever that might be, has to be fath, which makes it harf mad. You understand? Very easy. So alif is always harf mad, because alif is always silent whenever it comes in a word. If it is obviously one of the root word letters, alif is a root letter, and the previous letter has always got to be fath sign, has to have a sign, vowel sign, that is fath. So alif is always harf Mad. Yeah. That's it for today, dear brothers. So, inshallah, see you next lesson, inshallah. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me, or you can, share your questions on the group as well. Or if you want me to repeat anything in the next lesson, please don't hesitate, and inshallah, I can repeat in the next lesson as well. I think that's it for today. See you in the next lesson. Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.